Hello there, filminsider here. Today we're going to describe Death Note, a Japanese mystery thriller film. Watch careful for spoilers and proceed with caution. The first scene takes place in Tokyo, where the police are looking for a fugitive named Yikek. In order to avoid capture, Yikek kidnaps an innocent girl and threatens her life. Unfortunately, he suddenly collapses and dies as a result of acute chest discomfort. Elsewhere, when the deputy director of foreign affairs steps out of his office, he is besieged by the journalists. The media begin to bombard him with claims and questions, but he falls and dies before he can react. A series of strange fatalities occur in the city, all of which involve criminals, which has used K in similar ways. When the number of these deaths rises, some religious organizations interpret them as God's divine retribution against sinners. However, the public is divided on the cause of these fatalities, with many suspecting an individual known as Kira. Some people support his acts, while others consider him to be nothing more than a criminal. A breaking news bulletin catches the crowd's attention one evening, as the reporter states that a man named Hiromechi Imizumi has broken into a financial institution and is currently taking folks hostage. A man named Light Yami takes out his notebook and writes Omichi's name in it. Moments afterwards, the reporter surprisingly announces Hello Mech has passed away. According to some of the hostages, he collapsed due to severe chest problems. All of these crooks must quit eating at McDonald's. Following that, the film flashes back to a few weeks earlier, when Light hacks into the Japanese police website and discovers that all cases involving wanted criminals have been closed. To corroborate his concerns, he visits a nearby tavern and overhears one of the offenders stating that the police have released him and that no one can imprison him. Seeing this, Light makes him upset, and he begins to lose faith in the legal system of the country. On a rainy night, he discovers a mysterious-looking notebook titled Death Note and takes it with him. As he gets home, he reads the first page, which states that whoever's name is written in the notebook would die as predicted Light, and dismisses it as a joke. He then turns on the television and sees the news about a murderer who has been wreaking mayhem since. For the sake of amusement, Light scribbles the murderer's name on the notebook casually. He reads the papers the next morning while eating breakfast and is surprised to discover about the murderer's identity. Unexpected and mysterious death. Despite this, remains dubious and believes it is all a coincidence. Later, while strolling down the street, he runs into the same criminal he saw in the local tavern. To validate his assumptions, he writes the criminal's name in the Death Note while watching him from the other side of the culprit, much to his surprise, quickly develops chest agony and dies. This finally persuades Light of the notebook's remarkable potential, and he proceeds to meticulously read all of its regulations in accordance with its rules. The notebook only works if the writer can mentally picture the person's face. Also, if the cause of death is not indicated within 40 seconds after writing the person's name, they will die of McDonald's disease. That night, Light is returning home when he comes upon the god of death, who introduces himself as Rek. Only those who touch the death notice will be able to see him. Light is horrified to see this terrifying creature and wonders if he has come for the book, but Rek assures him that he means no harm. He goes on to say that Light can read the book as many times as he wants. As our protagonist hears this, he becomes resolved to build a world free of crime, where the upright are praised and the evil are feared. Yeah, says he. The police are still investigating the inexplicable killings that have been occurring at the moment, but they have no clues on the so-called law, Lord Kira. As a result, they seek assistance from a mysterious individual known only as LL Talks with the Cops through laptop, and assumes Kira is from Japan and is carrying out these killings on his own. Therefore, with authorization from the police, he devises Plan L. The plot works, and when Light watches the live broadcast, he becomes outraged at the criminal's disrespectful statements. As a result, he hastily puts his name in the Death Note, killing the criminal instantly. Following this occurrence, L's true voice appears on the live broadcast, explaining that the whole thing was a trap created to narrow down Kira. He reveals that the conference was only broadcast in Japan, and that the authorities are now aware of Kira's whereabouts, is Japanese. All also warns that if Kira is apprehended, he would be executed. Meanwhile, Light, who is watching from home, is afraid of the dangers. He is unable to intervene though, because All never shows his face to anyone. In the following scene, the police department appoints one of its top officers, Sachiko Yami, as the case's head investigator, which he later reveals to be sarcastic. The police, with the help of L, continue their investigation into Father, They investigate the general timings of the deaths and determine that they correlate to a collegiate timetable. As a result, they determine that Kira is a college student who does not murder anyone in class. Light, who has easy access to the police database, learns of this knowledge and begins to alter his murdering schedule. When the police become aware of this, they suspect that their information is being misused. Later, as Kira walks alongside his new friend Rek, he notices that an unknown figure is following him. Rek confesses that he has been followed by the same individual for 2 days. Seeing this, Light has left him perplexed as to why Rook did not tell him sooner, and the latter confirms that he is neutral. He does not support either the Light or the cops. Light is scared by the words and decides to be extra cautious. Light and his best buddy Sherry take a bus one day, and the mystery guy pursues them angrily. He confronts the individual, but the individual claims ignorance. A few moments later, a man abruptly rises from his seat and kidnaps the passenger. He is revealed to be a wanted criminal who has recently escaped from prison. Light wishes to. Nevertheless, because he does not know the criminal's identity, he just writes on a scrap of paper that he is about to do something. As the unidentified follower notices this, he tries to block the Light, alerting him to the potential danger. He also presents himself as Ray Isu, an FBI agent. Their discussion gets cut short. The culprit approaches and grabs the piece of paper from the Light, which is a shredded chunk of the death note. As soon as the offender has, he sees Ree for the first time. The sight of the terrifying monster leads the criminal to panic, and he flees the bus. Tragically, he is killed by a fast-moving automobile. Meanwhile, we learn that FBI agent Ray has been following Sachiko since the entire police department suspects him of disclosing information to his son. Ray's identity and appearance are now known to him, attempts to clear him from his path. But Ray warns that he will be the major suspect if he does so in order to clear his name. Light decides to compile a list of all the undercover FBI agents involved in the case for this purpose. He summons Ray to the subway and talks with him via a transmitter Light. He blackmails Ray into writing down the identities of all FBI agents on a sheet of paper and threatens to murder innocent civilians. Ray has no choice but to cooperate. Following that, he examines the photographs of all the agents in his database and writes their names in Light on the death note. As a result, all of the FBI agents involved in the case die of heart failure, as his work is completed. Ray is also mercilessly murdered by Light Heart. The latter's fiance is on the same railway platform as Ray and runs to aid him when he collapses. But it was too late at the police station lights. Dad Sachiko makes an announcement to the squad, alerting them that their lives are in risk due to Kira's recent murdering of non-criminals. As a result, if team members are terrified of being killed, he permits them to withdraw from the investigation. Everyone except 6 officers exit the room after hearing this. 6 of them make a demand that Al confess his genuine identity before the probe can begin. In the following scene, they arrive at Al's flat and discover that he is a small child. He is, however, incredibly brilliant, which sets him apart from the rest of the cops. Al appears to have established that Kira has the ability to modify the cause of death. Therefore, he urges the team to use fictitious names to avoid being targeted by Kira. They start working together to find the murderer as quickly as possible. Elsewhere, Naomi, Ray's fiancée, is saddened by his death. She is revealed to be a former FBI agent who worked with L previously. She is now determined to track down and avenge her fiance's murderer. Meanwhile, L sees Ray's dying video, in which he notices Ray pointing at someone just before he dies, believing he has identified the perpetrator. He phones Sachiko and the crew to let them know. Al then shows them photos of potential suspects. His Light is one of them. As a result, he wishes to keep Sachiko's family under constant surveillance. Light, on the other hand, begins scheduling deaths a week in advance and informs Ryu that the operation must proceed even if he is killed. The next day, while Light is at college, Naomi confronts him with skepticism. He knows her from the train platform but denies any knowledge of Ray's death. Despite his refusal, Naomi suspects him and accuses him of using the Bisac to find Ray's identifier. Light instantly realizes he has been exposed. Naomi says that he can't kill her because she gave him a phony name before leaving. She promises to find Kara and will not give up until he is imprisoned. Later that night, when Light returns home, he notices a strange door, which leads him to believe that someone has entered his room without his knowledge. He then informs him that his room has been bugged, with cameras and listening equipment installed. As it turns out, Ellen was correct. The cops are continually observing him inside his room, and after discovering nothing suspicious for the first 3 days, Sachiko gains confidence in his son's innocence. Ellen, on the other hand, insists on continuing the surveillance because no deaths have been reported while the Light is being monitored. Light is observed having supper with his family on the 7th day of monitoring. When he's finished, he returns to his room, closes the door, and munches on a packet of chips. He studies while appearing to be ignorant that he is being watched. Suddenly, there is word that a fresh culprit has been captured, and he succumbs to a heart attack shortly afterwards. When the agents find out, they announce that Light is no longer a suspect, but Elle still has reservations. He does, however, direct his aide to remove all cameras and bugs from Light's room. Light had put the suicide note inside the bag of chips, and he had discreetly written the criminal's name to clear his identity. One day she phones Light and suggests they meet at an art gallery, to which I cheerfully accept during the call. But he feels something is wrong because her voice is unusual. In actuality, Naomi has kidnapped Shri and is using her to entice Light to the meeting location in the next scene. Light arrives at the art gallery and discovers Naomi holding Shri captive. She demands vehemently that he confess to being Kira. Light, on the other hand, denies the charges and asks her to free Shori. Naomi even discloses her real name and asks him to kill her in an attempt to force him to confess. Meanwhile, Ellen and the team are watching the scene unfold through CCTV cameras not long after Naomi is distracted by police sirens outside, allowing Shia to get free and flee towards Light, but she mistakenly shoots the poor in her panic. She kisses Light and confesses her love for him as she slowly succumbs to her injuries. Then she dies, leaving him heartbroken. Naomi performs the unthinkable just after the cops arrive at the crime site and before they can catch her. The scene then cuts to a few hours earlier, when Light discovers Naomi's true name on her wedding card. He then methodically narrates the entire scenario of Naomi's death on his note before being confronted by his father, who apologizes for not saving Shri. When Sachiko leaves, the scene reappears and asks if he ever anticipated to lose her Light. He then turns around with an evil granite, indicating that he was the one who had orchestrated her death. He explains to Naomi that he staged her death as part of his plot to make the authorities sympathize with him and remove him as a suspect. He looks at him with hatred in his eyes and declares that Light is a demon in human form. Just then, Elle appears on the scene, holding the same bag of chips that Light used to write the offenders' identities. He introduces himself to Light and encourages him to join their team in their attempt to capture Kira. The film finishes with the two staring at each other. To assist the channel, enable notifications and leave a like to make our day. Thank you for taking the time to watch.